Hey there, Knowledge Seeker. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling risk management.
It's a pretty critical topic, actually.
Definitely. And we've got this document, right, that basically lays it all out.
Yes, it goes deep from the fundamentals to some really specific types of risk. Even how, major events have kind of shaped how we think about risk today.
So let's start with the basics, right?
Well,
What IS risk management? I mean, we hear the term all the time, but
this document, it defines it as like identifying, assessing, and responding to potential threat.
okay, so far so good.
But here's the thing, it's not just about avoiding those threats, it's also about understanding and maximizing opportunity.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about playing defense.
Right. It's about looking ahead, seeing the whole picture, both the good and the bad.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
So, how does this actually play out in real life? Why should I, as a listener, care about understanding risk?
Think about it. Every decision you make has some level of risk involved, whether it's choosing a career path or even just deciding, what to eat for dinner.
Okay,
So-
maybe not that extreme.
But the point is, understanding risk management can help you make better choices in all aspects of your life.
I like that. It's like being more aware, more strategic.
Exactly.
So this document, it talks about different types of risk management, right?
Yeah, it mentions financial risk, operational risk, technological risk, even project risk.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, there's this whole section about how big events have shaped the way we manage risk. What's that all about?
Well, remember those huge corporate scandals from a while back? Enron, WorldCom, Tyco?
Yeah, vaguely. Were they all about shady accounting practices?
Exactly. And those scandals, they really shook public trust in corporations, exposed big flaws in how risk was being managed.
Okay, so it's like a wake-up call.
Totally. Led to big reforms in corporate governance, especially in the U.S. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act, for example.
All right, Sarbanes-Oxley. Didn't that force companies to be more transparent?
Absolutely. More transparent with their financials, strengthen internal controls, be more accountable overall. Similar things happened in the UK and Australia too.
So it's like they had to clean up their act.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And all of that, it highlights the link between good governance and effective risk management.
Makes sense. If a company's got good governance, they're probably less likely to take unnecessary risks.
Right. And that impacts you as a consumer and an investor. Better governance means more transparency, which protects your interests.
That's a really good point.
So yeah, it's worth considering a company's track record on governance and risk management when you're deciding who to support.
Absolutely. It's not just about the product or service. It's about how they do business.
Exactly. Now, speaking of doing business, let's dive into a specific type of risk that affects everyone. Financial risk.
Okay, so this is about money.
Yes, it's about the potential for loss due to things like market fluctuations, interest rates, even just having enough cash on hand.
Yeah. That sounds pretty relevant to my everyday life.
It is. Think about, for example, how inflation has been affecting prices lately.
Ugh, don't remind me.
But that's a real-world example of market risk impacting your purchasing power. The document really emphasizes understanding this, so you can adjust your savings plan or investment strategy.
So it's about understanding these big economic forces and how they can affect my personal finances.
Precisely. Even something like taking out a loan has risk involved. Understanding that risk, it's called credit risk, can help you avoid some serious financial trouble down the line.
So before I make any big financial decisions, I need to really understand the potential downsides. What are some things I can do to actually mitigate those risks?
Well, one strategy is diversification. You've probably heard the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Makes sense.
So spreading your investments across different asset classes, it can help reduce your overall risk if one investment doesn't do well.
So not putting all my money in one stock. So that's diversification for individuals. But what about businesses? How do they manage financial risk?
Well, they use all sorts of sophisticated techniques. One common approach is hedging.
Hedging.
It's kind of like insurance for your investments, helps protect you from potential losses.
Okay, starting to get the hang of this. So we've covered financial risk, both for individuals and businesses. What's next on our deep dive?
Let's move on to operational risk.
Good.
This one's all about the risks associated with a company's day-to-day operations, people, processes, technology, even external events that can cause disruptions.
Okay, so anything that can go wrong in the normal course of running a business.
Pretty much.
And this document, it really goes deep on operational risk, It's a whole lot to process.
It is, yeah.
Maybe we should break it up for our listeners and tackle it in the next part.
Sounds good to me.
So, listener, be sure to tune in to our next episode where we'll really dig into operational risk and all its complexities. Until then, keep diving deep.
Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive deeper into operational risk.
You bet. Last time, we touched on those website crashes and, the supply chain chaos from that container ship stuck in the canal.
Right. Those are great examples of how operational risks, they can really hit businesses and individuals alike.
Yeah, for sure. So this document, it has a whole framework for managing this, right?
It does, yeah. It breaks it down into 4 main categories: strategy risk, people risk, processes and systems risk, and then external dependencies.
Okay, so strategy risk first. What's that all about?
Well, it's basically the risk that your chosen business strategy might, not work out. Imagine a company launches a new product, but totally misjudges the market.
Ouch, yeah. Big flop.
Exactly. That's strategy risk. The document really stresses doing your homework, like thorough market research, competitor analysis, really making sure your plan is solid.
Okay, so that's for businesses. How does this strategy risk thing apply to me, though?
Well, think about choosing a career. That's a big decision, right?
Huge.
What if you spend years training for a specific job? Then the industry, shrinks or the skills aren't needed anymore.
Oh, man, that'd be rough. So I guess researching job trends is kind of like that market research you mentioned for businesses.
Exactly. Understanding this concept, it can help you make smarter choices, not just in your career, but any big life change.
Love that. All right, so that's strategy risk. What about people risk? Pretty self-explanatory, I think, but
Yeah, it's all about those potential downsides that come with, people. Mistakes, fraud, even just high turnover, not having enough skilled workers.
yeah, people can be unpredictable. I bet managing that risk is tough for businesses.
It can be, for sure. This document, it highlights having good HR practices, like thorough background checks,
Yep.
good training, making sure everyone knows what's expected of them.
So getting the right people in the right roles from the start makes sense.
Yep. And also creating a work environment where people feel valued, so they're less likely to, make mistakes or do something intentionally wrong.
Happy employees, fewer problems. Got it. But what about those who DO want to cause trouble? Like commit fraud or something?
Well, that's where internal controls are key. The document talks about things like segregation of duties, so no one person has total control, and regular audits to catch anything fishy.
Checks and balances, basically.
Exactly. And this applies to personal life, too, Think about shared finances. Having clear roles, it can prevent a lot of headaches, even some serious problems.
Whoa, never thought about it like that. That's a good tip. Okay, so we've got strategy risk, people risk. What's next?
Processes and systems risk. This is all about potential failures in the systems a company relies on: IT systems, manufacturing processes, supply chains, even customer service protocols.
So basically making sure all the gears are meshing smoothly.
Exactly. And technology, it plays a huge role here.
Yeah.
Companies are so reliant on complex IT systems. Great for efficiency, but also new points of failure.
Oh yeah, like that time an airline's computer system went down. Flight cancellations everywhere.
Perfect example. And it shows why things like disaster recovery plans and cybersecurity are so important.
Right, so companies can bounce back quicker. But can I, like an average person, do anything about processes and systems risk? It sounds kind of big picture.
You can. Think about online banking or just using your smartphone, right?
Right.
Understanding how these things work, knowing the potential weaknesses, it's important.
So like being aware of phishing scams, using strong passwords, that kind of thing.
Exactly, your personal version of cybersecurity. And understanding how companies use your data, that's another way to apply this stuff to everyday life.
Makes sense. Okay, so that's 3 down: strategy, people, and processes and systems. What's the last category of operational risk?
External dependencies. These are the risks outside a company's control. Natural disasters, economic downturns, things like that.
So accepting that sometimes, no matter how well you plan, stuff happens.
Right. But the key is to prepare. Contingency plans, having diverse suppliers, staying informed about potential threats.
Like having an emergency fund, just in case.
Exactly. Being prepared can make all the difference.
All right, welcome back to our risk management deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground already, from those basics to really getting into operational risk last time.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey so far. But we're not done yet. There's still more to explore.
Right. This document, it goes even further into specific types of risk: technological, project risk, even things like ethics and legal stuff.
It really does try to be comprehensive, give a good overview of the risk landscape for businesses and individuals alike.
Okay, well, I'm ready for more. What's next on the agenda?
Let's start with something super relevant today. Technological risk. It's all about those potential downsides that come with, well, using and relying on technology so much.
Yeah, makes sense. Technology's everywhere. There's bound to be some risks involved. What kind of things are we talking about here?
Think about those data breaches you hear about constantly. Companies losing customer data, hackers getting into systems. It's a big problem.
Definitely. And it's not just big companies, right? Individuals are at risk too.
Absolutely. Identity theft, online scams, it's all part of this.
Yeah.
And it's only becoming more important as we put more of our lives online.
So what can we do about it? Both companies and the individuals, I mean. It feels kind of overwhelming.
The document, it really stresses cybersecurity. For companies, that means good firewalls, intrusion detection systems, encrypting data, basically multiple layers of defense.
Like building a fortress around your information.
Exactly. And for individuals, it's about those good habits, strong passwords, being careful about emails, keeping software updated, all that stuff.
Yeah, the basics, but they're so important. Okay, so that's about protecting our data. What about protecting, like, ideas? I think this document mentioned something about intellectual property risk, too.
Right. This is all about those intangible assets. Patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, things that give companies a competitive edge.
So protecting your innovations, the things that make you unique.
Exactly. And the document talks about having a clear strategy for this, registering trademarks, securing patents, using confidentiality agreements. It's all part of managing that risk.
So it's like putting a legal fence around your ideas.
Pretty much. And for individuals, it's about knowing your rights as a creator, making sure your work is protected.
Good point. Okay, so we've got tech risk, intellectual property risk. What's next?
Let's talk about project risk. This one focuses on, those challenges that pop up when you're tackling a big project, construction, software development, even planning a huge event.
So basically accepting that things might not go exactly as planned.
Yeah, it's about being realistic. The document emphasizes having a good risk management process right from the start, identifying those potential problems, figuring out how likely they are and what the impact would be, then coming up with ways to minimize them.
It's like planning for the plan to go wrong.
Kind of, yeah. And being flexible is huge. Things rarely go exactly as planned, so you got to be able to adjust.
Right. Expect the unexpected. So does this apply to my personal life too? Like if I'm planning a vacation, do I need a whole risk management plan?
Maybe not a full-blown plan, but the idea definitely applies. What if your flight gets canceled? Hotel's overbooked? Having a backup, knowing your options, it can make things a lot less stressful.
That's true. Okay, so even on a smaller scale, being prepared helps.
Yeah.
What else is on our risk list here?
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about business ethics risk.
Yeah.
This is all about the potential harm that can come from, well, unethical actions.
Okay, so this is about companies doing the right thing even when it's hard.
Exactly. Having a strong ethical culture. Things like a clear code of conduct, ethics training for employees, systems for reporting anything that's wrong.
So it's not just about saying you're ethical, it's about actually having systems in place to back that up.
Right, and it starts at the top. Leaders set the tone. When they act with integrity, hold themselves accountable, it filters down through the whole organization.
Actions speak louder than words. Okay, but how does this apply to me as an individual?
Think about the companies you support. Do they treat their workers fairly? Are they environmentally responsible? Those are ethical choices you make as a consumer.
Yeah, it's like voting with your wallet. Support the companies that align with your values. All right, what's next? We've covered a lot here.
Let's talk about legal risk. This is about the potential problems that come from breaking the law, violating regulations, or even just not following through on contracts.
Okay, so knowing the rules and playing by them.
Exactly. The document talks about strong legal and compliance functions within a company, staying up to date on the laws, having clear policies, making sure employees understand the rules.
So basically covering all your bases.
Pretty much. And for individuals, it's about knowing your rights, your responsibilities, being a good citizen, and a smart consumer.
Yeah, it's always better to be safe than sorry. All right, what's next on our risk roller coaster?
Let's dive into the financial markets and talk about market risk. This is all about those potential losses that can happen because of, market changes, interest rates, currency exchange rates, all that.
So understanding how those ups and downs can affect businesses and individuals.
Precisely. The document really highlights understanding those forces and having strategies to deal with them. For businesses, that could be hedging, diversifying investments, keeping a close eye on those market trends.
Riding the waves,
You
basically.
got it. And for individuals, it's similar. Making smart investments, spreading your money around, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
There's that diversification idea again. It seems to come up a lot in risk management. All right, one last type of risk to cover, right?
Yep. Let's wrap up with political risk. This one focuses on those disruptions that can happen because of, well, political stuff.
Yeah.
Government policy changes, social unrest, even war and conflict.
Okay, so understanding how those big events can impact businesses and individuals.
Exactly. This document, it talks about doing political risk assessments, especially when companies are doing business in other countries. Understanding the political landscape, knowing if a government is stable, all that.
So like doing your homework before you go international?
Exactly. And having backup plans. What if things change suddenly? Diversifying operations, having insurance, even evacuation plans for people and assets if it gets really bad.
Wow, okay, that's next level.
Yeah.
Sounds like this is especially important for companies in like those more unstable parts of the world.
Definitely. And even for individuals, understanding political risk can help you make decisions about where you travel, what you invest in, even just your own personal safety.
It's about seeing that bigger picture, how global events can affect us.
Right. So that covers a pretty wide range of risks, huh? Things that can impact businesses and individuals.
Yeah, we've gone from financial risks to cybersecurity to political instability. It's been a wild ride.
It has. And I think the key takeaway here from this whole document is that risk management is about more than just avoiding bad stuff. It's about being smart, seizing opportunities, dealing with uncertainty, and ultimately achieving your goals.
I like that. So, listener, remember, risk is everywhere. But with the right knowledge and tools, you can manage it, even use it to your advantage. Turn those potential problems into opportunities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Keep diving deep, folks.
That's